Hey guys, I'm ABC's Brad Milkey, and we have a very special thing happening here today. We have the woman herself that has been causing a lot of waves in the Democratic Party and throughout the political world right now. We're joined by Donna Brazile, former ABC News contributor. Thanks for being back here.
Absolutely. It's good to see you.
And if you're checking us out on the This Week Facebook page right now, you guys, Donna was just on This Week on Sunday. You can comment on what we're about to talk about here, but let me show this to you. Hacks, the inside story, the break-ins and breakdowns that put Donald Trump in the White House. That is the new book from Donna Brazile, and that is where we're seeing a lot of revelations, Donna. So let's start with one of the main thrusts of what's created so much controversy. Was this primary process fair to all the candidates or not?
Well, in the book, I talked about calling Bernie Sanders on September 7th to address this whole issue. Was the process rigged? And what I told Bernie was that I found the cancer, but I wasn't going to kill the patient. The cancer, of course, was a joint fundraising agreement that had an addendum, a memorandum of understanding that gave the Clinton campaign, in my judgment, an unfair advantage of overseeing the DNC's finances at a time before she became the nominee. Now, Hillary helped to bail out the party. The party was in debt. They helped to raise money for the party, along with President Obama and Mr. Biden and others. But Bernie had signed a joint fundraising agreement, but he did not have an MOU that would give his campaign or Martin O'Malley's campaign, or Jim Webb, or Lincoln Chafee, the ability to determine who would become staffers in the DNC.
In that fundraising agreement, does it not say this pertains to the general election, not the primaries? Some Clinton fans here have said everything sounds like it was on a level, no?
No, it pertained to the hiring of staffers as early as September 15th, a communications staffer. It pertained to technology, also other strategic investments. And when I became chair at the end of July, that agreement was still in effect. And so what I was trying to do was to get around this agreement so that I could do my job as chair.
So was the process rigged for Bernie Sanders then? That's what his fans want to know.
You know what I thought there was a cancer that had to be addressed, and that's why I went to Bernie. But in terms of the primary process itself, I saw no evidence that the process was rigged.
Because I'm just looking at a quote from the book that says you look at whether the team had rigged the party process. You said you needed to have solid proof, and then just a few sentences later you said, I made the call to Bernie. I had found my proof, and that broke my heart. So you wanted to know if it was rigged. You looked for proof. You found the proof. So it was rigged, yeah?
I found the proof that there was cancer. And that cancer, in my judgment, was very dangerous because at a time when the Democratic Party should have been impartial, the Democratic Party should have had control of its own finances. But as a result of the memorandum of understanding, the Democratic Party basically, we were under agreement with the Clinton campaign to hire staff in certain departments and to invest in certain technology and research, which I thought should not have been, done.
And let's make a distinction here, because you've made this yourself, that you were not working for the Clinton campaign. You dealt with the guys from the Clinton campaign. In the book, you talk about Robbie Mook and some of the guys as part of the campaign. Not a lot of love there between you guys. At one point, you described the cult of Robbie Mook that fell flat. What were those conversations like between you guys?
Well, I was an officer of the DNC. I did not work for the Clinton campaign. I was not part of their strategic team. I was not part of their daily calls. I was the chair of the Democratic Party, which meant that my job was to elect Democrats from the courthouse to the White House. But I interacted with them because obviously they control a lot of the resources within the Democratic Party. And I wanted to break free from some of those obstacles that came along, and I needed resources. And I had disagreements with them.
At one point, you sort of talked about the way Robbie Mook would deal with you. You said at one point it might not even be a race thing, a political thing. You felt like it was a gender thing. Did you as a woman feel disrespected when you would deal with some of these Clinton staffers?
Well, what I also said in the book is that I travel a great deal across the country. And when I reported back to them, I reported back to a lot of people. I said, look, here's what I saw in Colorado, or here's what I experienced in Florida. I felt like my comments were being dismissed because they had their own model. They had their own resources, and I was basically told to butt out because they had it under control.
We've been getting some comments from you guys on Facebook, and one of our comments came from, let me pull it up here, from Mike, who says, let's see, Mike, I'll get to you here.
Technology.
I know, exactly. Well, basically, the question from Mike has been, here we go. Why make these claims about the Democratic Party so close to the Virginia election, which, by the way, is today, the day of the release of your book? Do you fear your comments are going to affect turnout?
Well, you know, 2 weeks ago, I was in Virginia. I was helping to kick off a canvassing operation in Northern Virginia. That was also the last day that people can vote in person, send in their absentee ballots. I have raised money for the Virginia Democratic Party. I've raised money and sent contributions to candidates, not just in Virginia, but also in New Jersey. So the election occurred a year ago, and I believe that it's important that we have these conversations, whether we're discussing it now or sometime in the future. But if I put this book out next year, people would say that I'm going to interfere in the 2018 election. If I put it out in 2019, they say I'm interfering with the 2020. So my focus was not interfering in any individual election, but to at least try to explain to not just the voters, but also the stakeholders in the DNC what happened and how we can do better in the future.
You told George Stephanopoulos that if somebody questioned your motives, you tell them to go to hell. Is that what you want to tell Mike right now? You can tell Mike.
Well, let me just say this. I used the colorful language of a campaign operative, but my mother would have said you get more with honey than you do with vinegar. But Michelle Obama would have reminded me when they go low, you go high.
Have you spoken to Robbie Mook, to Debbie Wasserman Schultz since the release of this book? Because in it you portray a party and a campaign that were just completely out of touch with what Democrats needed. Well,
you know, Robbie Mook has an opportunity to write a postmortem. Debbie has an opportunity to write a postmortem. I wrote my postmortem. When everyone left on November 9th to go home or go wherever, I stayed and I continued to put the Democratic Party back together. Last week, before the excerpts of my book came out, I went over to see Robbie up at Harvard. I'm up at Harvard as well, and to let him know that my book was coming out. And I said, I'm going to put it all out there. I also gave people heads up in the Clinton campaign. But first of all, I'm not under any obligation. I was an officer of the Democratic Party. I don't report to them. I report to the voters and the stakeholders, the rank and file people as well.
Hey, we're getting another question in here from Facebook. Betty asks, in your role at the DNC, since you were the interim chair, couldn't you have changed some of the funding rules that would have helped the candidates? Why make these complaints now that you are out? I
tried my very best. I've been a strong supporter of campaign finance control, campaign finance reform. I have, as an officer, I have put forward not just resolutions, but proposals to strengthen the party so that the party will never again face what we saw last year. And this goes beyond just looking internally at the Democratic Party. My book also explored the hacking of the Democratic Party. Remember, I became chair because the party was hacked. We were hacked, our data was stolen, our emails were stolen, information was put on the internet that compromised individuals, their personal information.
You said that you felt targeted at a point.
I was targeted. I mean, I was targeted. Look, I've been hacked by both the Chinese and the Russians. And my focus is on strengthening our democracy to ensure this never happens again. And that's the other reason. People who read the book, and I hope they read it's a good read. As I said, there's hot sauce on every page. But I hope people will come away knowing what happened in 2016 and why we should work today to strengthen our democracy.
So, Facebook, we are seeing the comments that you guys are making. A lot of people saying that they have issues with the timing. You already addressed this a little.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, though. If Hillary Clinton had won last year, would you be coming out with the same book? Would you be coming out with the same secrets that you were spilling that you said people didn't want you to spill about the DNC?
Well, had Hillary won the election, which we all worked very hard to put her in the White House, I would have hoped that Hillary would have done a lot to clean up not just the Democratic Party, but Hillary would have done a lot to make sure that the Russians and no other foreign country interfere in our election, meddle with our elections, and try to steal data to create discard and disinformation.
But as far as joint fundraising agreements in which candidates are sort of able to get these deals ironed out during a primary, would you have been talking about that if Hillary was president of the United States?
I was campaign manager for Al Gore. We used the Democratic Party at that time the way you use a Democratic Party to help get out the vote all across the country. I was around in 2004 with the joint fundraising agreement with John Kerry, 2008 with Barack Obama. This was an addendum to the standard joint fundraising agreement that caused me as party chair to be unable to do my job, and that's why I voiced complaints about it. But at the time, I could not have disrupted that agreement last year, because I would have, in the middle of an election, 4 weeks out, 3 weeks out, you don't do that. You basically allow the Clinton campaign to continue to get out the vote and to get his message out. But at the same time, as party chair, I wanted to do my job.
All right. Bottom line from Cesar says, do you feel that Bernie got a fair chance at winning the nomination?
Hillary won 3 out of the 4 contests. She won more primaries and caucuses. She got more votes, and so she won the election. But I do believe that in the future, no matter the candidates that decide to run, we need to ensure that everyone who walks into the party and say, I want to run as a candidate, they have an opportunity to run the kind of campaign that they would like to run, but to ensure that nothing is ever put in front of them to stop them from winning.
Great. All right, let's close with this.
But Hillary won. She won the primary.
She won the primary.
Absolutely.
Let's close with this, because you asked someone in the Brooklyn office about the staffers in this book. You said, quote, are they having sex? Are they having fun? If not, let's create something to get that going. Otherwise, we're not going to win. I didn't sense much fun or another F word going on in Brooklyn. You ran Al Gore's campaign. You just talked about that. Were your staffers all having sex with each other? Is that what you are saying should have been going on?
No, I think in the book I talked about how the former chair of the campaign said that used to be one of his lines. Donna, are they having fun? Are they going out? Is this a joyful experience? I mean, campaigns are hard. But my view of what I call Brooklyn was that it was quite sterile, in the sense that nowadays campaigns, everybody is on the computer. Back in the day, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have all of the computers. And there were ways to look and see if there was energy in the campaign. But they had sufficient energy. They did a great job. They got out a large number of voters, but unfortunately they fell 78,000 votes short of winning the presidency.
Yeah, Robbie Mook says that he doesn't recognize the campaign Donna was talking about. But Donna, as you said, they will all get their chance to write their own book. So let's talk about this one right now. This is Hacks, the inside story of break-ins and breakdowns that put Donald Trump in the White House. Donna Brazile, Woman of the Hour. Thanks so much.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, Brad.
Great.
Thanks.
Later, guys.